Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this live broadcast. I am live on both platforms. Great. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mary Beth Chima. Welcome to Thursday Hangout. Welcome to this live broadcast. Um, we call it the Thursday PTM Hangout, and we have this hangout every Thursday at 1 p.m. where we come and talk about real issues in parenting. And today we're going to be talking about strategies, right? Strategies that you can use as a parent, right? To help correct your child's mistakes effectively. Hi, Mary. Good to have you. All right. So, if you are here with me, if you joined, please don't just be in the background. Say something in the comments. Let us know where you're joining us from, and let us know um, if you're catching the replay also, and if you're just taking a stroll around Facebook or YouTube and you bump into this, then don't go away. Just hang in there. It's going to be worth every second of your time. All right, great. Welcome once more. I said we're talking today about strategies. Okay, I'm going to be sharing five big, amazing strategies with you that you can use to correct your child's mistake effectively. Okay, so let me start by saying this. If you don't know, that mistake is actually a good thing. Okay, mistakes are prerequisites, right, for teaching. Now, as a parent, one of your roles as a parent is that of a teacher. You would have to teach your children, isn't it? I like to say a lot. If you've been following me, you will know by now that I believe that as a parent, you are your child's number one teacher, and as a matter of fact, the most important teacher in your child's life. And this is not to say that I am trying to diss teachers, because, hey, yours truly here is a teacher, right? So I am a teacher, I'm an educator by profession, isn't it? And I'm also a parent, and I am telling you, okay, like someone that has the best of both worlds. I'm telling you that there is no other teacher, okay? There is no teacher as important as you are in the life of your child as a parent or someone who has the custody of a child and is raising that child, right? So whether the child is a biological child or the child is, an adopted child or whatever, provided you're raising a child, I tell you truly today that you are actually the best and most important teacher in the life of that child. As educators, we always say this, when we are by ourselves, we always say this, that your child, every teacher is going to have access to your child for about a year. So for every class or every time a new teacher has access to your child, that person probably has access to that child for about a year, an academic year. After that, the person moves on to the next group of children, and your child moves on to another set of teachers or teacher altogether. But you are not going to change hands. You are going to be the parent forever, right? You're going to be the parent for the rest of your life. So yes, who can come and take that position of the best teacher if not you? Okay, so yes, mistakes are a prerequisite to teaching your child, isn't it? And every time you find your child struggling, okay, every time you find your child struggling to do a particular thing or struggling around a particular skill, two things are happening, okay? One is that your child does not have the requisite skill to achieve that thing. Okay, your child does not have the skill that is needed to do well, does not have the skill that is needed, right, to operate at their maximal, level where that skill is concerned. So because of that, the child will tend to make mistakes, or the child will tend to forget or tend not to know how to go about it or how to deal with that thing. So that's one of the things that's happening to your child, right? And that could be because, one, the child has not been taught at all, okay? Because we have cases like that. We have instances like that where we have not really taught our children how to do certain things, we just expect them of this. I mean, we just expect that the child should be able to do it by virtue of the fact that you are alive, you see people, and you are of the age where you should be able to do these things. But no, parents, it doesn't really work that way. Okay, it really doesn't work that way. So yes, one of the reasons is your child may not, I mean, one of the reasons why your child may not have that skill is probably because you have not taught the child that skill. Another reason could be because your child is over dependent. So your child could actually, I mean, you could actually be teaching that skill, or you could actually have taught that skill, and you're not patient enough to ensure that the child practices that skill over and over again to the point where the child, internalizes it enough to, roll on their own without your instruction, your direction, and your assistance. So that could be it. Or two, it could just simply mean that your child is over dependent on you. It still boils down to the fact that you have not been consistent, or you have not taught it at all. So we have this kind of cases in homes where there are support. I mean, you have support staff, you have staff, people in the home, or the child has older siblings that tend to do these things for them. So when children have people that they know would come in and take certain responsibilities of them, chances are they may not, apply themselves to learning that thing, or they may not apply themselves to doing that thing enough to internalize it. So yes, your child could be over dependent, okay? And that may be the reason why your child cannot do that thing yet, or your child does not have the skill required to do that thing. Okay. Now, the other one is your child does not have the right value orientation. Okay, your child does not have the right value orientation, or at least has not aligned, right, with that, has not aligned with that thing, the value that the child has, or the child doesn't have the right values that has made the child align with that thing enough for the child to internalize it, and that thing becomes a standard for the child. Okay, this sounds like like plenty grammar, isn't it? Right, our children will grow. When I'm saying child, I'm referring to your child from infant to your teenager. Right, so now this applies mostly to your teenager. So your teenager does not know how to say no, or your teenager does not have self-control, or your teenager doesn't know how to stop, that there is time for everything. So he doesn't know when to turn off the TV and go do a chore. Now, why is your teenager doing this? It could be one of these two things I'm talking about. It could be that you have not taught this teenager, right, this skill at all. It could be that you've taught your teenager this skill, but you have not given this child the opportunity, or you have not been committed enough or consistent enough to ensure that the child practices these skills over and over again, so much so that it becomes a part of the child. So you are not committed or consistent and continues to make a mistake around this thing, or your child does not, refuses to do it. Now, the second point I'm talking about is that your child does not have, hi, Amsu, how are you doing today? Okay, that your child has not aligned, right? Your child does not have the right value system, or has not aligned with the right values that will help them stay away from these things. So yes, your teenager will probably not be able to say no to someone who is trying to pull them to do certain things, because you have not, the teenager does not have the right value system, okay? And that's whatever value that is needed for the child to know that they need to say no to their peers, right? The child has not aligned with that value. That value has not, the child has not internalized that value enough for the value to be a standard for your child. So until certain values become a standard, until certain values become standard, your children will continue to make mistakes or continue to do things that go against those values. right? So I said two things are the reasons why our children are making mistakes, refusing to do things, or not able to use certain skills. One, it's because they do not have that skill. They've not been trained, or someone has not consistently helped them to master that skill through commitment, right, and consistency. And then two, someone has not raised this child enough or stayed on and be patient enough to help this child internalize the value. I mean, to use values and then align with your value system enough that these values become a standard for your child. And so, based on that standard, the child stays away from certain things, or the child can now stop themselves, or they have what's it called now, the control, right, to stay away from certain things or to stay away from making certain mistakes. All right. So let's move on. So these are two of the reasons why our children may be making certain mistakes. Okay, these are the reasons why they can be making these mistakes. All right. Now, truth is, point blank, parenting is tough. Parenting is not a walk in the park until you get to the point where you realize that parenting is tough. Until you become committed enough to your parenting to actually come to terms with the fact that this is not one of those things that you can chance. This is not one of those things that you can get lucky with. There is nothing like that. There is, I mean, quote me anywhere, there is nothing like luck in parenting. At least not in today's world. If you are going to chance your parenting and you're going to depend on luck in the 21st century, then I promise you, you are setting yourself up for heartbreak and you're setting your children up for failure. So yes, if you have not started looking at parenting this way, I need you to go back and reflect again and say to yourself, parenting is actually tough business. It is one of those things that I need to approach with all of my energy. I need to approach with all intentionality, more like. So yes, parenting is tough, right? Parenting is really, really tough. And if you're going to raise children, right? If you're going to raise children that you can empower when they make mistakes, if you're going to equip yourself enough to be able to empower your children and not stifle and destroy them because of their mistakes, then you must come to this realization that parenting is tough. And so begin to look for all that it takes. Begin to seek strategies, begin to seek tools, begin to seek the knowledge that is needed to help you position yourself as that parent that can equip your child, or that parent that can support your children enough for them to thrive, okay, and not just survive in present day. Okay, so thank you very much. It is very, 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 very not an easy task to parent a child in the 21st century. Please know this and have peace. Okay, know this and have peace. As I said before, mistakes are a prerequisite to teaching. Because how would you have teachable moments? How would you identify teachable moments if your children are not trying and not making mistakes? So yes, when as parents or as teachers or caregivers, we are teaching children. We're teaching children so that they are able to make the right choices. We do not teach children so that they do not make mistakes. Okay? I hope you got that. We teach children. We train children. Okay? We train children and we teach children so that they are able to make the right choices. We do not teach children or raise children so that they do not fail or make mistakes, because failure or mistakes are requisites. They are very, very important for growth. Okay? For your child to grow, for your child to become independent, for your child to grow, for your child to be self-sufficient, your child needs to try. And every time we try, there is the chance that we would make mistakes. So yes, when you are raising, when you're teaching, when you're training your children, please, you need to make accommodation for mistakes. The reason we are constantly beating children, yelling at children, getting angry, the reason we have all this tension in your home constantly on the case of your children is because you have not made accommodation for mistakes. Okay? Now, when we say mistakes, some of us want to see mistakes as only when your children fail their courses in school, when your children make the wrong choices as per relationship, when your child leaves the plate to fall and it breaks. Okay, we want to look at it has to be something extreme for us to see it as mistakes. No. The simple fact that you have said to your child, I need you to do the dishes, and you come back and the child has not done it. That's some sort of a mistake. Okay. So everything that happens, in your parenting, everything that happens in the lives of your children that are not in coherence with what your expectations are, okay, based on what you have taught the child or based on what knowledge you have passed down to your child. So for every time your child does not meet up to your expectation, yes, that child is actually making a mistake. So I want you to start seeing mistakes that way. Okay, now the fact that I have said today, right? The fact that I said today that every time they make these mistakes is because they probably do not have the skill, right? Or they don't have that, they've not aligned, right, in their value system to tell themselves, okay, you need to do this for this reason. You need to do this because it is the right thing to do. Okay, it means that it has not become a standard. Okay, so until you give them enough time, or you are consistent enough to help them continue to practice, to help them continue to try, to keep reminding them, to keep using the right strategy until your child gets to the point where he can internalize this. As a parent, you need to create accommodation for mistakes, because mistakes are very, very, very important for the growth of your child. Mistakes are important, right, for your child to be able to learn, self-direct, okay, and become self-sufficient. And all of these things are needed if your child is going to be able to navigate the world on their own, or your children are going to be able to navigate the world on their own. All right? All right. So now let us look at a few things, or a few disadvantages, right, of not using proper correction in your home. Okay, when you don't use proper correction for your children, okay, certain things are bound to happen. One of them is your child's self-esteem. All right, so if you are that parent that is constantly finding fault, of constantly seeing, not finding, right? It's there. If you're that parent that is constantly seeing the faults of your child, you're that parent that is constantly nagging your child about something that they are doing wrong. You're that parent that, you just open the door. It's the end of work, or you just come back from work, you open the door, and right from the door is, what is this? What is that? You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. Now, this is you trying to correct their mistakes. This is you trying to raise your children right. But hey, this is actually not an effective way to do it. And chances are, what this does is it makes your child have a low self-esteem. If you're constantly seeing the things that they do wrong, you're constantly, sometimes we get so bad at it that we begin to attack the children directly. Look at you. You don't ever do anything right. Every time I tell you to do something, you will never do it. These are words. Words are powerful, right? These are words. Words are powerful, and your child is getting this every time. So somewhere in his subconscious, somewhere in her subconscious, the mind keeps telling the child, you are never able to do anything right. So yes, the child, I mean, this is the validation that your child is getting from you as a parent. So it's very easy for the child to begin to believe this. So yes, as your child becomes older, you find out that they take on projects. They take on projects in their lives, and at some point, they're not seeing any progress. At some point, the willpower to continue is not there. They're struggling. And the simple fact that you are constantly telling them they can't do anything right is enough for them to be demotivated. They meet someone in life, or a boss, or a team member, or colleague, and all of that, and the person revalidates the same thing that you have been saying as their parents. You don't ever do anything right. And it's very easy for your child to believe this person, because yes, even mommy or even daddy kept on saying it all my life. Now, sometimes it's not as if they will sit down and they will go through all of these things so that you're able to say, oh, no, but I've never thought like that. But hey, we do not even, a lot of the things that we do is not from our conscious state. Okay, a lot of the things that we do as human beings is from our subconscious. So yes, you may not consciously sit down and have this banter, okay, between yourself and your mind. You may not do that, but the actions that you portray, the actions that your child will portray, is simply that one. You would see that laid back attitude. You will see that easy. I mean, you can see that child easily giving up. Most often, it's what the subconscious is delivering or serving your child at that point, based on what it has retained over the years. Most of it, your voice. Okay? Another thing is your children may withdraw. If you're a parent that is constantly, it could be that your child has this, this amazing thing that they want to tell you. There's something that happened in school. There's something that happened in their life. There's something that they can't wait for you to come home to tell you. And then you come in, open the door, and it's ba 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 ba. Then, at the end of the day, the energy is wrong in your home. The child's energy is deflated. Okay, the atmosphere in the home is tense. At that point, why am I going to come and give you any gist? So you see, at that point, the child just forgets about it. And what are the chances that the child will remember tomorrow? I mean, what are even the chances that you'll come back tomorrow and it won't be the same banter and all of that? What are the chances that you'll come back the third day and it won't be them receiving a slap? Okay? All of these things. And studies have actually shown that when parents yell and complain about the things that children do not do right, it is a momentary thing. I told you to sweep this house. You didn't sweep the house. What is wrong with you? Blah, 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 blah. You yell and all of that, and then the child takes the broom and sweeps the house, and then you go away. That's done. What are the chances that because you screamed and shouted and all of that, the next time the house needs to be swept, the child will sweep it? I mean, what are the chances that you travel for a whole month? Right? The chances that you travel for a whole month and that child will ordinarily on their own just pick the broom and sweep the house simply because of the last time you yelled and screamed. So the child will likely not do it until 2 hours, 1 hour, 20 minutes before you return. So you could be away for a whole week, a whole month, and your child is not doing the right thing until 10 minutes or 20 minutes before you come. So are you going to end up saying as a parent that this skill has been taught? Are you going to end up saying that your child has internalized this thing? Are you going to end up saying that on their own, these children can direct themselves to do these things without you? So being scared of you is not the same thing as internalizing or learning or knowing that skill or knowing that thing that you have taught to the child. All right, so that brings us to the next thing. It leads to forced obedience and hypocrisy. And that's how a lot of us grew up. A lot of us grew up, we were raised in our homes to be pretentious. We were raised in our home to obey because we were afraid. So yes, at home, you wear this kind of clothes at home because, hey, you know that if you try wearing a certain kind of clothes, you're finished. And then you resume school. The moment you drop your bag and you get settled, all those ones that you have hidden under, you pull them out. Because, hey, all of a sudden, daddy's not here, mommy's not here. And that's what I was saying at the beginning. I said at the beginning, the reason your child will keep making mistakes, or the reason your child is not performing or doing certain things, is not exhibiting a certain positive behavior, right, or skill that you want to see, is one, because the child has not been taught that skill. Okay, the child has not been taught that skill, or that skill was introduced, but you were not patient, you were not consistent, and you were not committed enough to stay on until the child internalized that skill. Then soon, it's because you have not taught your child, or you don't have a set of value, you don't have the value system in place that will help your child be able to do that thing based on their value system, based on what they believe, based on a standard. Or it could be that you have this set of values, but your child has not aligned with this set of values yet. And so you may have this set of values, but they are not a standard for your child yet. So this is the reason your teenager will go to school and then pull the clothes they can't wear at home and wear them in school, because he doesn't have the same values that you have, or the child has not aligned with the value that you have served the child, that can keep the child from dressing this way. So yes, you may have these values, you may not even have them, you're just handling the child, or you're just expecting the child to do this simply because you are a child of God. But hey, the child has not aligned with it. So yes, the child will not self-direct themselves to do this thing without you. So yes, the child will not make this choice when you are not there. So yes, until as parents, we understand that parenting is a tough call, and it requires commitment, patience, and consistency, then yes, our children are bound to make mistakes. Now, not just make mistakes. I said, I'm fine. I said, as a matter of fact, that there is room for mistakes, right? There's room. Our children should make mistakes, really, right? It's what we do with the mistakes. So our children are bound to make mistakes, and then we even make it worse, right? That when they make those mistakes, we end up using corrective measures that are not effective. So can you see, either way, our children are struggling, our children are suffering because of our ignorance or the things that we have chosen not to do right. So in the first place, your child doesn't know this because you have not taught it. Your child doesn't know this because you have introduced it and you have not been patient, consistent, and committed enough to help the child practice until the child internalize this, until it becomes a skill, a habit that your child can transform and your child can use on their own even when you are not there. Two, you have not taught your child the right values that will keep your child from exhibiting certain character. You have not taught your child, or you have actually taught your child or introduced your child to a set of values, but hey, you have not stayed on, you have not been present enough, you have not been committed enough, you have not listened to the child enough, you have not paid enough attention, you have not made yourself available to help your child understand why this value has to be a standard. So no, your child is not on the same page with you, and so they will make mistakes, right? The next one is disconnection. When you're always nitpicking, seeing everything that they do wrong, you're constantly seeing what your children do wrong. I mean, you're constantly complaining. When they make this same mistake that we're talking about, we said it doesn't matter how well you teach your children, create opportunity for mistakes, because it is in those mistakes that you will get your teachable moments that you can correct effectively. Okay, now you're stifling them, you're not allowing them make mistakes, or you are not using the right corrective measures, right, to help them come out of those mistakes or to help them learn better or to help them do better with that skill or that particular thing that they are making a mistake in. So what happens with constantly shaming them and constantly reprimanding them and constantly beating them and yelling at them and calling them names because of these same mistakes? What happens? You disconnect with the child. That's another reason. Okay, that's another thing that improper correction strategy will cause. It will cause a disconnection between you and your child. You get to the point, I mean, for parents who are preteens and teenagers, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. You get to the point where you are talking and it does not have any effect anymore. And the parents like this around here, you're talking about something, you begin to sound like a broken record to your child. You are talking and they are rolling their eyes. You are talking and they are humming. You're talking and, you're talking and they're humming. I had one of my niece come around one time and, obviously, it's like, oh, it's normal. So I had something that she had done wrong and I was like trying to say this. And reflex, without even knowing it, she started humming. Without even knowing it, I could just see that, okay, this has become a habit. This has become a habit, like we're just meeting. But hey, you couldn't even stop yourself because you didn't even realize that this is a different person you're even dealing with. You are humming. And I'm like, I don't get it. What's going on here? Like, we nipped it in the bud. I nipped it in the bud immediately. So this is what we do. Constantly. Before you know it, you begin to sound like a broken record. So no, they don't hear you anymore. The moment you open your mouth, they tune off. The moment you start talking, they've switched off. So you're there talking and correcting and talking and all of that. But hey, the child is not hearing you. Child is tuned off already. So it's not effective anymore. Okay? The last one is rebellion. Okay? When you're constantly correcting and constantly nagging about their mistakes, nitpicking and always, angry about their mistakes. Hi, Jennifer, good to see you. Hey, Amalala, it's good to have you here. All right, thank you for everyone who has joined. All right, so when you're constantly doing that, it leads to rebellion. The child becomes rebellious. So yes, when they're 8, when they're 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, they're listening to you. Everything is okay. But hey, all of a sudden, they get to 13, they begin to roll their eyes. 14, they begin to roll their eyes. By 15, it's like, what are you talking about? So by 15, it's like, what are you talking about? At this point, they're old enough, 17, Abba. What's going on here? Like, who is talking to who? All right. So that's the point. You begin to see parents frustrated, parents of teenagers frustrated every time, complaining, he's this, she's that. It's because of how you have been. Sorry, there's this call that is coming. I need to just say something. All right. So basically, we need to do differently. Sorry, can you just give me a second? Sorry. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, so basically, this is what we do, and we get ourselves into this whole situation. We get ourselves into this whole situation that's, that becomes so problematic in our homes. All right. So I've given you 5 reasons why you need to use the right corrective measures in your home, because children are supposed to make mistakes. Children are bound to make mistakes, and those mistakes are a good thing because they give you the opportunity to teach. They create teachable opportunities, teachable moments in your home, okay? And then they help you to connect with your children because you're able to look at their mistakes together and you're able to help the children, guide the children to profile their own solutions. And because you have the right boundaries in your home, you have the right structure in your home, you're able to refer back to your structure, you're able to refer back to your values, and based on the values system that you have, based on the values that exist in your home, your children are able to self-correct. They're able to walk backwards with them to see where the challenge is, to see where they went wrong, to see they will identify the mistakes by themselves. And then they're able to use the structure, the policies you have in place, the structure you have put on ground, the boundaries you have created, and then the value system that they have. Based on all of this, even your religious belief and all of that will fall within the values that you have. So based on this, your children are able to trace, be remorseful, and then self-correct. So yes, I say to you, if you're going to only depend on what is said in church or in the mosque, if you're going to depend only on the scripture to help your children, I mean, you think that is enough for your children to raise your children to make informed decisions, then no, I mean, you're kidding yourself. It's not enough. It is not enough. The corrective measures that you use, the structure that you have on ground, all of these will come together to help your children begin to make informed decisions. And the fact that you have created the atmosphere or the avenue for them to make mistakes, like mistake is not frowned at. It is a part of life, and we accept it in this family that you make mistakes. But what you do with those mistakes, or what we do afterwards, is what is important. All right, so let's look at 5 strategies that we can use to correct our children effectively. All right, so one of them, okay, number 1, I don't know what to do. I have a visitor outside, the door is locked, and I'm alone. All right, okay. The life of a working at home mom, right? All right, so let's go. Number one strategy is the use of antecedents. Okay, so using antecedents as a strategy to correct, for effective correction. Now, what are antecedents? Antecedents are those things that you can do as a parent to ensure that your child exhibits a particular behavior that you want to see. Okay, what can you do prior to the instruction? What can you do prior to an event to ensure that your child does the right thing? This is what an antecedent is. Okay, so for instance, I'll give you an example. We're going to do practical examples and we're going to be fast about this. Okay, so for example, you are going out to a social gathering, right? You're going out to a social gathering, you're going out for a party or something like that. And you want your children to behave in a certain way. Let's use this, say, for your toddlers, right? Your toddlers or your young children of school age. Now you say to your child, oh, sweetie, we're going to go for Benji's birthday tomorrow, right? And you know what the rules are. So I want to believe that you will have certain rules, okay, of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, okay, in your home. For instance, I don't know what it is. This one is your thing. It's a personal thing, isn't it? What is acceptable, what is not acceptable, okay? So this is it. So what do you do? All right, so we're going to go to Benji's birthday tomorrow, and you know what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, isn't it? Now we need to role play how that's going to happen. So try to create or try to talk about those things that are not acceptable when you go to parties. Or for instance, you cannot jump the queue when you're trying to get food. Okay. All right. So everybody come here. Let's say you have 4 children. All right, now let's stay on the queue. I'm the person with the food. And then you stay in front and then you be like, okay, so let's go. Let's practice how we're going to act at Benji's birthday tomorrow. So they come, the first person come, you put the dish and the person goes. Okay, you put the food and the person goes and all of that. So you practice that. Okay, or you talk about it, about what is acceptable. So that's where your children know what to expect. So this is the use of antecedents, right? This is the use of antecedents. What you can do to ensure that your child poses a positive behavior that you want to see. Another thing you can do, simple things at home. Okay, you want your child to go and have a bath. Then you'll be like, hey, sweetie, it's 10 minutes to your bath time. That's an antecedent. You're prompting the child. You're prompting the child beforehand, like, okay, you will need to stop and have your bath. Or the child is watching TV and you're like, ooh, TV time ends in 10 minutes, meaning at the end of this particular program you're watching. You have created, an opportunity for the child to behave positively or to, actually put out that behavior that you would like to see. Or it could be, and then it's 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes, your bad time, and all of that. And then when it's time to go, race you to the bathroom. So these are likelihood. These are things that will increase the chance of your child doing or posing a positive behavior that you want to see. Okay, race you to the car, race you to the bathroom, and then you see the child is anxious and that kind of thing. Basically, these are ways that you can ensure that your child will do something and not make those mistakes that you do not want to see. And if you're consistent enough to continue to do this with your toddlers, you will realize, or with your young children, you realize a time will come that you do not even need to use these antecedents. When you've used them over and over and over again, the child will internalize it. Then there is no need for this approach or this strategy anymore. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, the use of positive consequences. Okay, the use of positive consequences. So I'm sure a lot of us have heard use consequences in your parenting. Okay, now we need to be careful even with the consequences, because sometimes we begin to have too many consequences and the consequences become negative. So that, if you don't do things this today, I will not give you this. If you don't do this tomorrow, I will not give you this. That what happens when we use this kind of consequence is we pay attention so much to the negative behavior. So this kind of using negative consequences like this helps us pay too much attention to the negative behavior. And we know that everything that we give energy to will grow. Everything you give energy, anything you give energy to will grow. So sometimes we need to practice some level of ignoring or blindness to negative behavior and pay more attention or focus on the positive behavior. And one of the ways that you can use this, okay, is using the point program. All right, so I'm going to be teaching this to the parents in the mentor parent support program in our webinar this weekend. We're going to be talking a lot about this, okay, in that program. Right now, how do you use points program? So points program is being able to focus, okay, being able to get your children to win points for themselves. It's just the way money works, right? You work, you earn money, you have a lot of money, and so you have the capacity to buy, right? You have the spending power because you have a lot of money, right? Because you have enough money for the thing you want to buy. So it's the same thing with a points program. So what a point program does is you attach points to certain behavior that your child is struggling with. Okay, so certain behavior, I'm not going to talk too much about it here. I'm reserving all of it for the parents in the mentor parent program. But basically, You have certain behaviors that your child is struggling with, or that you've been teaching for, for a period of time, and then to take it to the next level, or to help your child begin to internalize it more. So what do? You create a points program like this, and your point program could be for just 1 week, for 1 month, for 2 months. It doesn't have to be like every time. Do you understand? Just for particular behavior or for particular time. So that's why we say don't pack all the skills and teach your children at the same time. Don't be teaching your children 10 things, 20 things at the same time. No, sometimes all you need to do is teach 1 or 2 skills per time. Okay, 1 or 2 skills per time. Grind that skill in. Stay there. Be consistent. Be committed. Stay there. Stay on until the child internalizes it. Until the child internalizes it. This is why we keep hearing people say, oh, he's such a good parent, oh, he's a good woman. Have you seen that woman in church? She doesn't take nonsense. We just feel that every time we see someone frowning, knocking and beating their children, that means they are good parents. It doesn't translate to that. Some will be like, oh, the parents are pastors, or the parents, hi, people, how are you doing? Okay? Some will be like, oh, the parents are pastors, or the parents are good, devout Christians. I mean, so by virtue of that, automatically they are raising their children right. It doesn't always translate to that, parents. It doesn't. Okay? It doesn't always translate to that. So it's the strategies that you have going for you. It's the strategies that you are using. How well or how long do you stay committed to a particular skill, committed to a particular value that you're trying to teach your children? How long do you hang in there to ensure that the child internalizes it? So a lot of times we just introduce skills, we introduce something here, we introduce something there, and after that, before you know, we get tired, we run away, and then we begin to scream and shout and beat children. I've told him 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. The child has not internalized it. So now the point program is one of those programs that takes it to the next level. After you have introduced it, you have taught it. So you use this program to help the child to grind it in and to help the child internalize it. So you take that skill, 1, 2 skills that you are focused on for a period, and then you put them in a program. Okay, I have like a point program chart here. So you put them in the program. So every time the child exhibits this skill or does something that looks like it, then the child wins the reward for it. Okay? For instance, my daughter is constantly forgetting her stuff in school. So of course, I have taught her how to remember. Okay, we've done the check system. We've done the check system. At some point, we even had a little card, the check card, and the check card is put somewhere, in the pouch in her bag, where she can see it. So basically, it just simply says when school is over, the bell rings or whatever, signifies that school is over. You do the checks before you step out of your class. Bottle check, pencil case check, bag check, this check, put all of it together, take your bag and lunchbox and put them in one spot. Then you wait for us to get to you. If you have to play, have them in one spot. So when it's time, mommy's here, daddy's here, you just run and grab them. So that's where the chances of forgetting them is reduced or eliminated with time. Now you've done that. That's why I was saying parenting is not a day, it's not a walk in the park. It's not for the feeble-hearted. Parenting is serious business. I promise you. Serious business. You must be committed to it if you're going to see, if your goal is to raise children with character, to raise children with the right habits, to raise children with the right skill, to empower your children. If your goal is to raise children who can thrive and who can navigate the world on your own, then you must be committed enough to make sure that whatever you are teaching, you are teaching enough for your child to internalize. And the only way they can internalize is that they continue to practice over a long time. And practice takes patience and commitment on your part. All right. So yes, we've done that, check system. The check system, we've made some progress, but we need to take it to the next level. So we introduce a third strategy. This is what we do with the Parent in the Mentor Parent program. We keep giving you strategies. So we meet every day where parents can come and say, oh, this is not working, coach, what can I do, and everything. And then we look for another strategy, we look for something else, and we try something else. See, as Coach Wendy will say, parenting is not tips and hacks. All these one-off tips here, it won't work. All this surfing around, pick this one up, it won't work until you begin to walk that journey daily with some accountability. I don't know who that accountability partner is, whether it's just between you and your husband, and you can be true to yourself that this accountability is effective, or is you and a group of friends, I don't know, or it's you and a coach. Whatever it is you have to do, I don't know where you will get that accountability, but by all means, get that accountability if you're going to be effective as a parent. It's not a one-off thing. So yes, with the Parent and Mentor Parent program, we're constantly, looking for introducing different strategies and all of that. So it's practically holding the hands of this parent and walking this journey together every day. It's a subscription-based program, and of course, it's not free. So if you want to be a part of it, just send us a message. My number is always on here, and after this, you will see my number in the comments. You can send a message, or simply, say in the comments, and we will attend to you, basically. But this is what it is. All right. So the point program now, I was still talking about the point program. So every time the child exhibits that thing you want to see, the child gets the points for it. So on the other side of the point program, you now put the things that the child loves. Okay, the things that the child really, really loves. And it means the child will need the points to earn that thing. So for instance, my daughter loves bedtime stories. She loves me reading bedtime stories to her. So for her to get bedtime story for money at the end of the day, she must have at least 3 points. Now, being able to dress herself in the morning and rush and hurry up to do it and come out at the right time, she gets 2 points for that alone. Going to school early, like being ready when daddy is ready to drive off the car, she's sitting down in the car without daddy having to complain or anything, is 1 point. So just waking up and going to the bathroom, have her bath, come and then dress up, focus, and getting out into the car in good time already earns her at 3 points. So yes, she knows that she gets a bedtime story. So the fact that she wants to get a bedtime story for mommy is enough for her. So you should see my daughter this morning. You should see her this morning try to earn her 2 points. So now there isn't that whole, she'll finish, okay, cream yourself, you go out, you come back, and she's still there playing with the cream, taking one drop and all of that. No, there is no need to shout. There is no need to scream. You've got to earn it. For her to go for play dates, she needs to earn 25 points for her to go for play dates at the weekend. And she loves to go for play dates. So you got to win it. So basically, that's what the points program is like. And that is a way to use positive consequences and focus on the positive behavior rather than on the negative behavior. So it simply means that when she's not in a hurry, I'm not screaming and shouting at her. No, I'm not. I walk away until I get to the point and I see that she's probably going to go late. So I'll come in and without shouting and screaming, I will help to speed the process. But hey, she doesn't earn any points for it. And don't worry, it will bite. It will bite. It depends on the things that you put for them to earn. So you see, you're not depriving them of these things. You just allow them to be the ones to earn it. So the power is in your hand to earn it, as opposed to, oh, you didn't do this, so I will not give you this. You didn't do that, so I will not give you that. So you see that. So yes, you can use consequences once in a while. We're saying, okay, so sometimes just flip it and focus more on the positive consequences than the negative ones. I hope you understand this. Let me know in the comments if you understand the difference. Okay. Number 3 is shaping. Okay, so shaping is being able to shaping is actually a systematic way, right? It's a systematic way that you use to achieve a behavior that you want to see in your child. Okay, so you are rewarding the child based on the small efforts that the child makes that resembles what you want to see. So, for instance, you have the rule that the children should eat and then clear the table and wash their plates, right? When they finish, do the dishes when they finish eating. Now, your 6-year-old eats, clears the plates, and then takes the plate to the kitchen and leaves it there. Now, in the spirit of focusing on the positive, you see this and you're like, oh, well done. I can see that after eating, you actually cleared the table and went as far as even taking your plate to the kitchen. Well done. Big hug. Something like that. Or thumbs up. Hey, give me a feast and all of that. Okay, so well done. You know, you can actually go the extra mile and wash the plate next time, right? Without mommy telling you. So you've increased the chances that this child would remember to do this next time. See, you didn't focus on the mistake. You didn't focus on the one that the child, you actually amplified the parts that the child did. So you focus, and this is huge. This is great for toddlers, even for your teenagers. You know how your teenagers want validation. You know how they are hungry for praise. You know how they want you to appreciate every small thing that they do. Yes, don't let your parenting ego stifle, or stop your child from doing more. And because he did small thing, I should come and get out of here, because is that what your mates? No, don't do that. Don't be that parent. Some will say don't be the African parent. No, African parent, you don't have to be you don't have to be a nasty person because you want to tag yourself, an African parent. No, it's not. No, it's not in our nature. People, we just come with all kinds of things and say, no, I'm an African parent, I don't have to be that nasty. Okay, so we don't have to get to the point where praising and appreciating our children, becomes so difficult because we want to appear a certain way so that people think we're so good parents. So good at parenting. No, it's okay. Praise those tiny efforts. Woo! Look at you. So I see that you actually left your game and went to do the dishes. Well done. Well done, Uncle. Yeah, next time now, just remember to do the pots too. Okay? Big hug. Do that. It's okay. It doesn't make you less of anything. You just increase the chance of your child. The next time they go there, you increase. It's a good. Give your children good feelings. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. It will just increase the chance. The next time the child leaves the game and goes to wash the plates, the child will probably just for the look that you came with, that you didn't come with that stern face. What is all this? You think I just gonna wash the plate and leave it? No, now just for that, to just see that good look on your face might be the reason why your child will do it differently the next time. All right. The next one is simulation. Right. So simulation, I know I've talked about this a couple of times. Okay. So simulation is simply, giving your children an experience, okay, before they experience that thing. So the behavior you want to see in your children, why don't you go ahead and role play it? Okay, create experiences, okay, around that thing even before it happens. It's like the same thing that happens in pilot school or for cabin crew. My sister used to be a cabin crew in her early 20s. And I remember those times they had to go to Germany. They had to go to Germany for certain training, before they started flying and all of that. So the pilot, they put them in a simulation tube or something like that, and then they do all the crazy rotation. To create some false turbulence or create some false, the kind of experience that you would have before a plane crashes or when the plane is going through some terrible turbulence, just so that they have that experience. The brain has what this experience is like, so that when this person is in the true life situation, the person is able to know what to do, or the person is still able to coordinate themselves and stay, and be in that place where they can still be effective. All right. So yes, you want to create this kind of thing, before your child goes somewhere, before something happens, you want to role play the things, I mean, the outcomes or the things that your child will probably experience. You want to talk about them. You want to talk about relationship with your 13-year-old. You want to talk to your 13-year-old about making the right choices. You want to tell them about your experience when you were 16. You want to tell them about someone who made a certain kind of decisions and ended up not from a place of fear. You're just taking them through that experience. You want to read a book together, right, where a teenager struggled, right, to make friends or struggled, to get out of a toxic relationship. You want to take them through experiences like this, talk about them, analyze these characters, and all of that. It's all simulation. So that in the future, if your child begins to do something that looks like, some of the things that this character did that ended up then and made them end up in a particular situation, the child's brain, the subconscious is able to say, I know an experience like this, and this is how it ended. And that might be the reason why your child makes a different choice. Basically, that's what simulation is like. Taking them through certain experiences, basically to help reduce mistakes, help eliminate mistakes, or help them make the right choices. Remember, it is your role as a parent to teach, to train, right? To help your children go through life being able to navigate on their own. And they can do that only when you have empowered them. And this is what we're talking about. How you can empower them even, to deal with mistakes and correct their mistakes and make right choices and stay away from, some choices that could lead to, terrible outcomes. All right. So number 5 is modeling. Modeling. That's what I am about. They call me the mentor parent, and I've said many times that this is not just a name. Oh, for me, this is not just a brand name. For me, this is my essence. Okay, I am that parent that wants to live what it is that I want you to see. So yes, you cannot catch me in my car insulting someone while I'm driving, because I need to model to my children that this is not acceptable. We go through every experience that we have together. The other day, my son wasn't strapping his belt and road safety caught us, and we had to go through all that. We went to the office and all that, paid fine and all that. By the time we finished, we got into the car. Okay, everybody was exhausted, so I didn't bother them with it. Okay, until we got home, we relaxed, ate and we relaxed and all of that. Took 2 hours of our time after school, for that matter. We didn't get home till like past 5 or 6, thereabouts. But later in the day, we had to analyze the day. What happened? What did mommy do right? What did mommy do wrong? I allowed the children chastise me like that. My daughter actually said at some point, Mommy, I don't think you should have responded to the woman when she was shouting and yelling at you. You shouldn't have responded. That's my daughter reminding me. That's my daughter reminded me that kings don't rub themselves in mud. She said that to me because she knows our family values. She knows them and she has them here at the tip of her finger. So she could say to me, Mommy, you didn't need to bring yourself to her level. And so my son in defense actually came and he said, but you know something, Mommy needed to do that because she was saying that Mommy said something and you and I were in the car. Mommy didn't say it. And she was insisting. And at that point, she started yelling at her. She was trying to bully her. So Mommy had to stand up for herself. Because my children understand that you don't bow your head to bullies. You stand up to them. You stand up to them from afar and you make sure that they get what's coming to them by doing the right thing and going to the right authority. So basically, this is them solving this issue even without me. At the end of the day, I said to them, you are both correct. I shouldn't have even brought myself to her level. I should have simply said to her, I didn't say it. And if you want anything more from me, you would have to speak to my lawyer. I could have just shut her up like that. right? But I allowed myself to start, oh no, I didn't. Don't talk to me like that. I shouldn't have bothered. Do you understand? And yes, he saw it as me standing up for myself. I told him, yeah, that was actually the reason why I did that. No. So, but basically, you want to model to your children. What do you want to see in your children? What adults do you want to see in 20 years, 25 years, 30 years time? What do you want? How do you want your children to respond? How do you want your children to speak? How do you want your children to carry themselves in social gatherings? How do you want them to establish social relationships? How do you want them to build social networks? How do you want them to deal with their emotions? How do you want them to regulate? You would have to go and learn. You will have to take courses. You will have to do, you will have to be in communities. You will have to do anything where you can empower yourself to be able to model to your children. All right. So I said I was going to give you 5. So let me just add one. Positive opposites. Okay. Positive opposites. As human beings, right? As human beings, due to negative biases, we tend to respond to the things that are negative in our environment. We respond to negative things more than we respond to positive things. Okay, so you have to deliberately choose to ignore the negative. If children are playing here and they're being nice to themselves, hey, everybody's happy and everything, you won't even stop. Chances are we won't stop to say, oh, hi guys, I see how you're playing and you're sharing and you're doing well done. We wouldn't say that. But the moment one child pushes the other or something goes wrong, you see us kind of, hey, stop it. You see, so we respond to the negatives in our environment than we respond to the positives. So now, as a parent who wants to help your children know how to make right choices, as a parent who wants to pay attention to what the children are doing, see their mistakes and help them correct effectively, okay, you need to learn how to pay attention or to see or catch them doing good also. So catch them doing good, praise the times that they are doing good, and that will reduce the chances that they will do wrong. It will reduce the chances of them doing wrong, okay, and it will help them self-correct even at the times where they do wrong, okay, because you're constantly catching them doing good. So thank you very much. At this point, this is where we would have to stop. Okay, so yes, the Mentor Parent Program, in the Mentor Parent Program, we do all of this. We're constantly having these conversations with the parents. We're constantly helping parents apply these strategies and more. This is just 5 out of tens and tens and tens of strategies that you can apply in your home with your parent, with your children. Okay, so very important. If you'd like to be a part of that program, just send us a message, okay, in the comments, or just send us a message with my phone. Send us a chat, right, or send us a message on Messenger, and we'll attend to you. Okay, do you have our books, Bedtime Stories for Champions? This one is a premium. This one is a book that every parent should have in their home if you have children. All right, you should have Mentor Parents, and then Bedtime Stories for Mentor Parents, my latest book, would help you as a parent to know what to do with your children right from when they are infants up to when they're about 18 years old. So all that we're talking about here, you will find in my book, Mentor Parents, somehow. So thank you very much for all those who joined us. Thank you for being here. Thank you. We do not take it for granted that you show up here, okay, and that you allow us to be a part of your parenting journey. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Molala, Jennifer, Abibo, Unso, Mary. Thank you, everyone who joined us. And if you're catching the replay, okay, just send your question. I can't see any questions to answer, okay? So send us your questions if you have any questions, your comments, if you have, put down your contributions, right? And if there are questions, we will do well to answer them even after this session. All right, thank you very much. Have a blessed day. Bye. So bye.